Okay, oh, it's at 5K. We just getting started. Y'all ready? I love to see it. All right, let's get into it then. Why waste any more time when the people are ready? All right. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Look at that. All right, let's get into this message on tonight, or today, rather. Now, today we getting into soul ties. I know. Some of y'all don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. We're getting into soul ties today. Okay? Because it's very much so needed. Amen? Amen. It's time to address some stuff and put some shit on the table. Okay? It may be a little uncomfortable in here. That's just how it be. That's just what happens. Thank you for the gifts, my loves. We just about to go to that place. Okay? Now, I have my cards out just in case. I might pull a couple in a little bit. But we about to have a little chat first, okay? Because I feel like right now, thank you, my love. So I'm streaming on TikTok and Big O. So if y'all see me looking back and forth between the cameras, that's why. I feel like it's time for a refresher on soul ties, especially with us being in Cancer season, right? Cancer being the first water sign of the zodiac, right? So dealing with emotions, dealing with hidden feelings, intentions, secrets, things of that nature. Okay. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you. And I just feel like what better time for us to get back into soul ties than the present. Okay? Now, let me warn you, and this is your only warning that you're going to get. If you are new here, I shoot straight from the hip. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to protect your feelings. I'm here to give you whatever it is that you need to hear in this moment to free yourself, okay? And to help you advance to the next fucking level. All right? I'm not here to you know what I'm saying, wipe your tears and pat you in your butt. Okay? Everybody on here is grown as hell. We know what we've gotten ourselves into. We know that we are responsible for the things that we have gotten ourselves into, and that we have to be accountable for all of those things. Okay? So, facts over feelings over here. All right? Now, getting into soul ties. Number one, all soul ties are not negative, right? A lot of people have this common misconception that when we talk about soul ties, we're automatically talking about something so bad, something so low vibrational. Thank you, my love, for the gift. Something so just downright disgusting, horrible, whatever, right? Our minds automatically go to like the worst possible situation, relationship, connection that we've ever had. Okay? And that's just not what it is, right? All soul ties are not negative. Okay? Being tied to somebody has to do with who that person is, right? And the energy that that person holds. Now, if you are connected to somebody who is negative and you have that soul tied to a negative person, then of course it's going to be negative. Okay? 1 + 1 = 2 every time, right? Hello, my loves. I'll get into breaking them and all of that. We covering all of that. I got you. I promise. Okay? If you are connected to a soul that is positive, right? That's bringing in something high vibrational to your life, that is adding some type of positive value to your life, to your space, then that obviously is not a negative soul tie. Okay? It depends on the connection. It depends on the relationship. It depends on the people involved and the energy that those people hold. Okay? Thank you, my love. So, today, we're obviously not talking about positive soul ties. Obviously not, right? If it's something that's adding value to your space, to your life, then that's not anything for us to really be touching on. We don't really need to worry about that, obviously, right? Because it's positive, okay? We're talking on them negative soul ties, okay? Them people that you connected to that you probably shouldn't be connected to. Them people that you just seem like you just can't get rid of or can't walk away from, okay? Now, one of the biggest parts that we need to understand is a lot of us being connected to certain energies and certain people has to do with the way that our minds and our energy conceives and perceives love, attention, positivity, right? And it's so easy to say, okay, obviously, you know, if this is a certain type of way, then it is love. If this thing is a certain type of way, then it's positive. If this thing is a certain type of way, if it makes me feel a certain type of way, then it has to be good for me, right? If it makes my body feel good, it has to be good to me. If it makes my mind feel good, then it has to be good to me. If this person has shown me things that I've never seen before, never knew before, whatever the case is, then they have to be positive in my life, right? That's just not the case. Okay? A lot of this goes back to childhood, because childhood is where we learn what love, or figure out what love is. Doesn't mean that it's the correct, understanding of the energy of love. It just means that we've taken on whatever it is that was in our space, and we have deemed that the standard, right, or the template for love. And if certain things fall into that category that we're familiar with, then we automatically assume that this is a love connection, or this is something that needs to be in our lives. Doesn't mean that it's right, but it just means that this is all we have. This is what we were taught. This is what we saw. This is what we were introduced to. This is what was in our environment. So this is what the fuck I'm going off of. I don't know no different. And nobody taught me no different. Right? So a lot of us are walking around with this preconceived idea of what love is based on what was in our environments, okay? Or what was taught to us, whether it was through action, because as children, we learn more through action than we do verbal commands or verbal lessons. Okay, your mama say, don't touch that hot stove. You might touch it. Even though she said verbally not to touch it, the only way you're going to learn that shit is hot is if you take that action and you touch it yourself. And you be like, oh shit, that is hot. Right? Okay, the people in your life tell you not to do this, not to do that. Don't do what I do. Thank you, my love, for the gifts. Don't do what I do. You can see your mama smoking, or see them people drinking, or see them people fornicating, or see them people doing all types of shit, and they look you dead in your eyes and say, don't do what I just did. We didn't listen to that shit, right? Because children learn more through action than they do through verbal points. That's just basic fucking early childhood development. Monkey see, monkey do. Okay? So a lot of us grew up in these environments where even if we had those verbal commands, those verbal lessons, we still took a different route based on what we saw that was contradicting what was being verbalized. And because a lot of our parents were very hypocritical in their teaching, right? Don't do as I do, do as I say. Because it was that contradiction, a lot of us did what they did and didn't really listen to what they said. We picked up on what was in our environment. Simple as that, right? So the first step to trying to figure out what is my idea of love? What is my idea of relationship? What is my idea of connection? Right? You need to sit with yourself first. This is number one. Sit with yourself first and go back to the beginning. What was in my environment that taught me love? What was going on in my environment that taught me how to interact with other people as far as relationship goes or as far as connection goes? Right? Thank y'all for the follows. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the gifts and the comments and the shares. Okay? That's where you need to start, because that's where everything started. A lot of time it's so difficult for us to figure out how to get out of the situations we're in right now because we're focusing on right now. And that might seem like, 1 + 1 = 2, but it's really not though, right? If I have a weed in my yard, I'm not just going to cut the top off of the weed and then expect for it not to grow back. That makes no sense. It's going to grow back, right? Because I haven't pulled it from the root. So getting to the root of it is how you start to dissect the whole entire thing, make sense of it, and remove whatever is no longer working. All of these lessons that you got in your childhood have become a part of your foundation, whether you are aware of it consciously or not. It doesn't matter. If it's not something that you have gone back and pointed out verbatim and changed verbatim, then that is something, or that is an energy or an idea that you're going to continue to work from, whether you are aware of it or not. That's just how shit goes. If you do not target those things specifically, then you're always going to go back to working out of those energies. Period, point blank. I don't care how many people and relationships you leave and all, it does not matter. You will find yourself in the same spaces with the same types of people. And this is why you see, you may have experienced, or you've seen other people experience relationships where they may not stay with a person for a long time, but they'll keep finding that same person over and over again. And this is not just romantic connections. We're also talking about friendships. You'll realize you're starting to attract the same type of friends over and over again. They have some of the same type of qualities, the same type of characteristics. It's repetitive. What the hell? Why is my life being restricted? That's so weird. Okay? It's repetitive. You'll be like, damn, I wasn't in this relationship for a long time. I wasn't around these people for a long time. Or, I noticed whatever I noticed and I left. But then you go and you start something new, and it's the same people. It's the same type of energy. It's the same type of stuff. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Okay? Thank you, my love, for the gifts. Right? This is because there is still something that is buried in your energy that is attracting that type of energy back to you. When we say that the universe or the world around us is a mirror, that's exactly what we mean. That's exactly what we mean. It is a mirror. So whatever you reflect or whatever you put out will be reflected back to you in some type of way, shape, or form. A lot of people don't like to think about that or believe in that because, people just think that they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do. Thank you, my love, for the beans. I can just do whatever I want, be whoever I want, and I'm not going to get it back. Yes, you will get it back. In some type of way, shape, or form, you're going to get that energy back because that's just how this shit works. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, your status in life, how much money you got in your bank account, how successful you are. It don't matter. It's going to come back to you in some type of way, shape, or form. Okay? So, when it comes to healing things outside of ourselves, which would be the people that we continue to come into relationship with, the people that we continue to attract, when it comes to healing those relationships, situationships, connections, it actually starts with the work that you do internally. Figuring out who you are and who you've become based on where you started. And it all started in childhood. So what type of relationship was in your environment when you was a child? Was your mama and daddy together? Right? Because it's not always, this parent wasn't in the house this parent wasn't in the house. That's why I am the way that I am. There's a lot of people that had 2-parent households, but they were toxic. And you get the same results either way. Right? So it's not just about, oh, I had a missing parent from the home. You could have had both parents in the house and all your siblings got the same mom and daddy. And everybody can still be toxic as hell. Based on the type of relationship, connection, and energy that was in that home as you were in your developing stages. It don't matter. Right? It just is what it is. So what was the types of relationships that you seen when you were developing? Were these people talking to each other properly? Was it a toxic environment? Was there freedom of speech in the environment, or were there people who couldn't really talk and speak the things that they felt? Was there open lines of communication in that environment? Was there mental, physical, emotional, or verbal abuse in that environment? Right? Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? You need to really figure out what that looked like, whether it was your parents or not. For some people, it was a grandparent or an aunt or uncle. Or for some people, you may have been adopted or was in a group home or, with foster care. What did your environment look like? Right? How did the people in that environment interact with each other? I know for me personally, when I started to look back, I'm like, okay, I know the women in my family. It was the women in my family that were on 100. Talking to people crazy, attitude problems all up and through. And I'm talking about as far back as my great grandma. It wasn't the men in my family, it was the women on bullshit. Right? Even the relationships that they had with men were verbally abusive. The women in my family, baby, they'll cut you with their words. Them men ain't stand a chance. Do you hear me? A lot of people don't like to bring that up. It's always the man, it's always the man, it's always the man. Well, not in my case. And I didn't realize that until I got older and I started looking around like, hold up. Even though my daddy wasn't as active, I can't blame him if he wasn't there for certain shit. Who was there? You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are taught, oh, if there's a missing parent, it's the missing parent's fault. Yes, they have a part that they play, but you are more affected by the environment that you were in versus the environment that you could have been in. And most of us was in the environment of our mamas. And hurt people, whether they are intentionally doing it or not. Whether they was doing the best that they could or not. So a part of going back to childhood, number one, is realizing that you have to hold people accountable. No matter how much they took care of you, provided for you, did for you, it doesn't matter. There's certain things that they have to be accountable for. You can't make excuses for certain things. And especially for the women in our family. Not saying that the men are not at fault, but especially for the women in our family, we kind of give them a lot of grace. We give them a whole lot of grace. And we don't address the things that have affected us all. I was giving my mama a whole lot of grace. And this is not everybody's situation. For some people, it's the daddy. So take it how it resonates and do with the information what you need to. But for the majority of us, we was raised by our mamas. That's just how that goes. And it doesn't feel good all the time to say, hey, Ma, I know you was a single parent. I know you was doing the best that you could, but you still fucked me up a little bit. There's still some things that I learned from the environment that you created that has caused me to find myself in certain situations and circumstances later on in life. There's certain things that were passed down to me that wasn't my business, that didn't have nothing to do with me, that I didn't ask for, that came from things that you experienced yourself. And a lot of our parents didn't know how to separate what they went through versus the way that they raised their children. Especially when it came to our daddies, especially when it came to men. A lot of our mamas just didn't know how to do it. They weren't taught. They didn't have the tools. But just because you don't have the tools don't mean that you're not responsible for the damage. Right? If somebody go out here and they commit a crime, whether somebody told them not to do that or not, they still got to go to jail. It don't matter. Unfortunately, right? Thank you, my love, for the gift. It doesn't matter. Maybe you didn't have the things that you needed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you didn't have the lessons that were helpful to you. Maybe not. But you still gonna have to pay the price. That's just how this shit goes. So a part of healing and a part of understanding or understanding or overstanding, however you want to phrase it, how you've gotten to the place that you are is, number one, being unapologetic and putting the responsibility where it needs to go. Even if that means you got to put it in the hands of the only person that you had. The only person that was able to take care of you would do for you. And that one little thing stops most people from starting this process. That one little decision stops most people from beginning the process of healing and working through the ideologies created from their childhood. Thank you, my love, for the gift. That one little thing. So when you finally get past that, that don't mean that you go to that parent and you start, berating them and calling them out their name and going the fuck off. Right? The first parts of your journey and your process of healing don't even include them physically. Right? A lot of it is you just doing the work and coming into these realizations behind closed doors in the comfort of your own energy. Don't be so quick to invite the people who have hurt you or who have caused you damage into your journey so fast. Especially when you are not prepared for what that may look like or how they may respond. This is why we take our time with it. Because I don't know how you're going to respond. And if you respond in a negative way, that could deter me. Thank you, my love, for the gift. That could deter me and stop me, right, from furthering this process, from continuing this process, because you responded in a way that I was not prepared for. I didn't build up enough strength behind closed doors. I didn't build up enough, mental stability, emotional stability before I came and I brought this to you and placed it in your lap. I didn't do it. So then I hurry up and I want to come and say, hey, Mom, you effed me over. You ain't teach me what I needed. Hey, Dad, you wasn't there. You blah, 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 blah. And sometimes your parents may respond like my mama did, which was like, I don't know what you talking about. I did the best that I could. What y'all want me to do? And then you know what I did? I shut down. Because girl, what? I'm trying to tell you how I feel and you talking about something you did the best you could. Okay, I didn't say that you didn't. I'm just saying the best that you could do wasn't good enough, unfortunately. I'm trying to talk to you about it. Or they'll completely deny you. I didn't do that. That didn't happen. You coming to them and saying, hey, I feel like when I was a kid, you did X, Y, and Z, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Uncle, whoever. They be like, oh, that didn't happen. And you like, what the fuck you mean that didn't happen? I make you feel that way. That wasn't me. Right? Completely dismissing the way that you feel. Or they truly have their own idea of what actually happened. And it just does not align with the way that you saw it. Right? So when that happens, it automatically will send people into a spiral. Or you'll shut down, or now you defensive, and now y'all going back and forth, and nothing is getting solved at that point. It's a yelling match, it's a fussing match, right? Nobody's getting through, nobody's listening anymore. We just going at it. Nothing accomplished. If anything, we are further off than we was before we even started, before you even opened your mouth and said something. This is why the beginning of your journey starts with isolation. And a lot of people hate that part of the journey. I get it. I understand. I get it. But the isolation is so important because it allows you to go through the stages and the motions of your feelings. Thank you, my love. In the comfort of your own energy first, before you start inviting other people into your shit. When you take the time to feel what you need to feel, thank y'all for the gifts, right? And acknowledge the things that you need to acknowledge behind closed doors, and sort through all of that by yourself first, behind closed doors, you're almost creating a padding around you, right? You're in your cocoon, you're in your bubble. You don't have to worry about people's opinions. You don't have to worry about people saying, no, that didn't happen. You got that wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Or I simply just don't care. Right? Thank you, my love. Because some parents will look you in your face and be like, okay, and you had it bad. Okay, and depending on where your parent is mentally, emotionally, they may not be able to hold what you're bringing to them. They may be so warped in their own thinking, in their own being, in their own experience that they don't have the capacity to feel for you. Because they still have not allowed themselves to feel for them. They're still carrying around what their mama did to them and what their daddy did to them and whatever they experienced in their childhood that they never talked about or never addressed or wasn't able to bring to the surface. So they don't even have the capacity to hold what you coming with. Right? Thank you for the subscription. Shout out to you. Thank you for the gifts, my love. Thank you for the heart me. They can't hold that. And we take it personally, right? Because it's like, well, damn, you my parent. I'm coming to you and letting you know that this is something that I feel. Right? I'm starting to wake up and kind of smell a coffee in regards to certain things. Right? I'm starting to analyze who I am and who I've become. And I'm starting to connect a lot of these dots back to childhood and being in a household with you. And I'm bringing this stuff to you. And you basically looking at me and you like, well, what the fuck you want me to do? Or that didn't happen. Or so. Or oh well. Or that's all I had. You know what I'm saying? So isolation in the beginning stages of your journey is so important. Because again, you're creating this cocoon around yourself that allows you to feel everything you need to feel, to acknowledge all of the things that maybe you didn't even know was there, to even have the time to sort through, finding out, figuring out, thank you, my love, for the gift and the heart me, finding out, figuring out all of the things that were underneath the fucking surface. We are put kind of on autopilot, right? The more traumatic experiences we have, whether we remember them or not, starts to shift the way that we go through and the way that we move in this lifetime. And it creates this energy of just being on autopilot, where we're just existing. And if you know anything about anything moving on auto, that means it is pre-programmed. It is going off of whatever program was set last, and that's it. Nobody needs to press a button. Nobody needs to manually go and do this and do that, right? When anything happens, it automatically does this. If this happens, it automatically does that. This is why for a long time we're reactive. We just reacting to everything that's going on. Somebody say something crazy, we react in a way that the autopilot program taught us to react. And based on our childhood, what the fuck did they teach you? Did they teach you to talk it through? Did they teach you to walk away, turn the other cheek? Did they teach you to fight everybody? Did they teach you to cuss people out? Did they teach you to catch an attitude? What is the autopilot program telling you to do in those moments? Because that's what you're automatically going to do. When it comes to love, what is the autopilot program telling you to do in that moment? If somebody comes to you and they tell you that you're pretty and you look good, are you programmed to automatically think that that person is the love of your life? Or do you just say thank you and take it as a compliment? This is all based on your program. What have you been programmed to think about those little things? Right? If there's some type of toxicity when it comes to relationships, the relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's, romantic relationships, when it comes to the toxicity in those spaces, what is that program telling you about toxic environments? Does toxic equal love? Because for a lot of people, it does. For a lot of people, it does. When you are born and raised and you grow up in a toxic environment, and that's all you know, that's all you're going to look for. That's all you're going to attract to yourself. Again, whether it's your friendships, the way you are one place is the way you are everywhere. So if you are attracting negative relationships, romantic relationships, you got negative friendships. And you got a negative relationship with yourself. I can put money on it. Because where you are one place, you are everywhere. What you attract in one area, you attract everywhere. Simple as that. This is why when you start the process of going back to childhood, identifying those different things, right? Taking yourself off that autopilot program and starting to work manually, right? Case by case, situation by situation type of thing. Not only do you start to move away from people that you have been romantic with, but friendships also start to dwindle away. The environments that you used to be in don't feel the same no more. They don't hit the same no more. Some of y'all forced to move. You can't live in that same city or that same state no more. You can't work that same job no more. You can't be friends with them same people no more. It doesn't just affect one area of your life. It affects everything. Because the way you think over here is the way you think over there. So that isolation allows you the space to figure out what is best for me, regardless of the outside noise. Because sometimes our childhood teaches us that everybody around us comes first. This is where you get your people pleasers. This is where you get your I take care of everybody, Captain Save all the hoes. This is where you get the people who are easily manipulated and used. Because you've been taught that you come last. Especially if you had to take care of siblings. Especially if you had to take care of a parent. Especially if you had to take care of family. Especially if you was the oldest. Especially if you was the only girl. Or the only responsible one. Because sometimes you don't got to be the oldest to be the most responsible and have all the goddamn responsibilities placed on your head. especially if you are the one who showed that you had the best mental capabilities in the family. You can think, you can make decisions and choices. You was responsible, right? Especially if you showing them type of characteristics. It's in a black family, baby, you show a little responsibility, they gonna put some responsibilities on your ass. You show you can handle a little bit, they gonna force you to handle a lot. And you don't really got too much of a choice when it comes to it. Ain't much you can really do about it. Especially when there is a parent missing from the household, or if there is an adult who is not mentally, emotionally, or physically capable of taking care of the household. Some of y'all parents were on substances, abusing substances, and you had to grow up in that home and become the responsible one. Sometimes your parents were emotionally irresponsible, going through depressions, right? Mental illnesses. There's so many different things that can force us to step up and take on roles that we shouldn't have had. And it's not even that you are developing fast, right? Because sometimes we'll just say, oh, I was just a fast learner. I was just mature for my age. I just developed quickly. That's not what happened. You were basically thrown into the pool and you had to figure out how to damn swim. Sink or swim. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have a choice. You had to figure that shit out. It wasn't you matured fast. Baby, you were forced. This went against your will. This is why when people become adults, when you lose out on those parts of your childhood, right? Being able to go through childhood as a child without adult responsibilities. This is why some people get into their adulthood and then they start to live out their childish things. That childlike nature comes right on back because you skipped it. So now you're wondering why this person can't hold a conversation and act like a damn adult. They missed out on those years. What do you mean? They weren't able to develop through those things that a child would normally develop through if they had the space and the opportunity to do so. So hell yeah, they're going to be a 40-year-old acting like a goddamn 11-year-old because they weren't able to be 11. Hell yeah, they're going to be a 30-some-year-old sometimes acting like a 5 and a 6 and 7-year-old because they wasn't able to be 5, 6, and 7. So yeah, they're going to be childish. Yeah, they're going to be behind. It's like when we was in school and before, now they do that no child left behind shit and they just pass into the next grade. But when I was in school, I'm a 90s baby. When I was in school, baby, if you didn't pass, you stayed your ass back. You had to double back to that grade. They weren't just going to pass you and let you go to the next goddamn grade knowing that you wasn't prepared. Why? Because if you didn't pass 3rd grade and you don't have the things that you need for 3rd grade, why the hell would I send you to 4th grade when 3rd grade is a foundation for 4th? You gonna get to 4th grade and be even more fucking confused, and that's gonna set you back even more. And then if you don't have none of that, why would I send you to 5th and 6th? But when you do allow that child to just go ahead, even though they didn't learn when they were supposed to learn, right? Even though they don't have the understanding that they need, you just pass them anyway. You just force them through the system anyway. Then they get to high school and they don't know what the hell is going on. They can't keep up. Then they become adults and don't know basic shit because you just pass them through everything. Didn't hold nobody accountable. Didn't prepare them for what they need. Same thing with life. If I went from being 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, and I'm then forced to have the responsibilities of a 20-something-year-old, eventually all of those things that I missed is going to catch back up with me. All of those developmental stages that I soared past are going to catch back up with me. Whether I think I'm mature for my age or fucking not. Whether I think I'm a fast learner or not, the shit is going to come back. And I'm going to have to be faced with dealing with those things, or faced with the repercussions of not dealing with it. Which is usually what happens. Relationships, trash. Friendships, trash. Emotional intelligence, trash. Right? You don't deal with things, you just avoid them. You just go shit. Or some people just turn up and have an attitude and throw temper tantrums. Sound familiar? What age did you stop being allowed to be a kid? Go back and identify that age and then look at your actions as an adult. You know what I'm saying? You throwing temper tantrums like a goddamn 7-year-old. Were you able to enjoy your years as a 7-year-old? You need to go back and figure that out. Because maybe that's why your ass is 39 acting like that right now. This is a part of the work that people don't like to do. And it all ties into the people that you start to connect yourself with, going back to soul ties. Everything starts back there. What did you miss out on? You got to give yourself that space to develop through those ages that you missed. This is why we say acknowledge your childhood. And a lot of y'all don't want to go back because of the trauma. And I get it. Right? You kind of want to just move past it, forget about it, act like it never happened. You know what I'm saying? Just put it in the back of your head and keep it pushing. I understand. I get it. I completely understand why you'll be hesitant and going backwards. But if you don't, you will continue to pay the price for not doing so. There is nobody coming to save you when it comes to your life. Nobody is coming. I don't know who you're waiting for. I don't know how long you've been waiting. But let me just go ahead and help you out right now. Nobody can love you through your traumas. It's your responsibility to handle that yourself. Going back to childhood. My mama wasn't there the way I needed my mama. My daddy wasn't there the way I needed my daddy. So then I get into these friendships and these connections and these relationships, and I expect for these people to show up for me in the ways that I did not have. Therefore, putting responsibilities on these people and expectations, on these relationships that I shouldn't even be doing, that I shouldn't even be putting on there. And then when these people don't meet these expectations that they would never be able to meet anyway, I throw a damn pity party. I make it their problem. Now I'm a victim. This is why you have so many women in relationships that don't know how to be by themselves. Don't know how to speak life into themselves. They relying on a nigga to tell them that they beautiful, that they cute, to take care of them, to pay their bills, to do this, to do that. Because you probably didn't have that. This is why you have so many men who think that these women are supposed to take care of them and deal with all of their bullshit. I'm not your mama. I don't got to deal with everything that comes with you. You're responsible for your goddamn self. Everybody is responsible for their goddamn self. Nobody has to prove themselves to you by being loyal to your dysfunction. That's crazy as hell. Male or female. If you are a goddamn blood-sucking parasite, I'ma leave. It's not my responsibility to sit there and make sure that you get what you need. That's not fair to the people that you're in connection with. Thank you for the shares. That's not fair to them people. I just met you. Why am I now responsible for everything that you got going on? I don't even know you like that. I just met you. And you've been with you 24/7, and you telling me at no point have you said, let me go ahead and take on my own responsibilities for myself and do what I need to do for myself? And I dealt with that personally. I expected for the men that I was in relationship with to choose me over everything. I had codependency issues. If I wasn't able to sit on the phone with my man however long I wanted to, or text him whenever I wanted to and he respond when I want to, see him whenever I wanted to, I felt some type of way. And I made that his responsibility. I'm talking about me. I had codependency issues. Why? Because my daddy wasn't there. I wanted a man to do all types of shit for me. Why? Because my daddy wasn't there. So I started putting daddy responsibilities on these men. They not my damn daddy. You're not my father. You don't have you're not responsible for me. I got to figure this shit out on my own. I got to do things for myself. And anything that somebody comes into your life and do for you is supposed to be extra. That's why we are supposed to be appreciative of the things that people come into our lives and do. Some of y'all just have this expectation that they supposed to damn do it. That shit is extra. Because I'm already giving myself the basics of what I need. I don't need you to come in and give me all of the compliments in the world. It's nice and it's extra and I love it, but I don't need it. There's a difference between needing and wanting. Needing and appreciating. Needing and being grateful for. When you're in a place of need, you are liable to do anything. A needy person will do anything. People need money, they go sell drugs. People need money, they go rob. People need money, they go unalive people. People need food. They find themselves in sticky predicaments because they're in a space of need. And when you need something bad enough, all of your logic, all of your thinking, all of your weighing of options goes completely out the fucking window. You're not thinking about none of that. It's like being thirsty in a damn desert. If I gotta drink this water out of this bottle and I don't even know where it came from, I'ma drink it because I need this damn water. I don't care where it came from. It can have all types of dirt and parasites and whatever in it, but I need this water. When you're in a space of need, you feel like you don't have a choice. I gotta do this. I gotta have this. Versus coming into a space where you have that thing. I already got that. I got love. Right? When I don't have love for myself, I'm liable to take it from anybody. And that don't always mean that the people that I'm getting it from are the best options. So then I start excusing other behaviors because I need this thing. You're giving me this thing and I need it, so I'm excusing all these other behaviors. I'm excusing the fact that you talk to me crazy. I'm excusing the fact that you're a cheater. I'm excusing the fact that you don't have emotional intelligence. I'm excusing the fact that you don't take care of your kids. I'm excusing the fact that you don't know how to talk to women or treat men. I'm excusing the fact that you're using me. I'm going to excuse all of these things that would usually be reasons to not be with a person, because I feel like I'm in a space where I need something that this person is providing me. Oh, this person makes me feel good. They make me feel wanted. They make me feel loved. Yeah, but they also put their hands on you. They also disrespect you. You know what I'm saying? They also talk to you crazy. They also manipulate you. They also are narcissists. But you can't see the red flags because you're not supplying yourself with the things that you need. So you're in this space of desperation. And that desperation is causing you to not pay attention to things that you would had you not been in that desperate space. So if I'm already coming into a situation with love, if I'm already coming into a situation with, confidence, if I'm already coming into a situation where I'm providing for myself and I'm doing for myself, that automatically is going to start weeding out certain options. You know what I'm saying? That's already going to start eliminating certain people from the space. Automatically. Because if that's just the bare minimum of what you have, I already got that. Right? It's just like if I already have money, right? If I'm already a millionaire, you know what I'm saying? If I already got all of the money that I can ever need, a person can come into my life and say, hey, even though they're a horrible person, they can say, hey, I got a couple dollars. Okay, me too. Hey, I got some love for you. I already got that. Hey, I got some attention for you. I can make you feel good. Okay, I already got that. Now I'm forced to look at the character of the person versus what that person can do for me. And a lot of people right now, you're getting tied to these energies and you're getting tied to these people because of what they do for you and not for who they are. Y'all see how all that shit ties together? You tied to these people because of how they make you feel and not who they are as a person. And if they bring value based on their characteristics as a being. So now you stuck going back and forth with these energies because you've given them your body, you've given them your mind, you've given them your emotions and your feelings, you've given them your heart, your care, your attention. You gave all this stuff to these people. And then one day you wake up and you realize, damn, this is not a good person. Damn, I done been with this person 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long. They're not really a good person. They don't really have good characteristics. They don't really have good qualities. Or you start to go through your healing process. You start to take a look back at where you come from, what was in your space. Thank you, my love, for the beans. You know what I'm saying? Where you come from, what was in your space, how you was raised. You start to, you know what I'm saying, put shit into perspective. And then you start to realize, hold the fuck up. I really don't need nobody like you in my life. How did I get here? Why did I deal with this for so long? Them blinders that you had start to come off. And sometimes people either respond one of two ways. They wake up and they remove themselves, or they start to try to change the person. I've come to the conclusion that you're probably not the best person, or you're not the person I thought you was. So now I'm going to try to fix you. Or I've come to the conclusion that you're not the person I thought you was. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my damn self. One is more likely than the other, unfortunately. Usually people stay. They try to change that person, or they try to ignore what they've seen, what they've woken up and discovered. Now we know that shit don't work, right? One of my mentors used to say, a person will only change when they want to. You can't make a person change unless they want to, and once they start, you can't stop them. Simple as that. You can't make nobody want to be a better version of themselves. And once they start becoming a better version of themselves, you can't stop them from doing it. But going back to, you attract what you are. You attract what you putting out there. If you don't even want to become a better version of you, you think you're going to attract people that want to become a better version of them? No. You can't. And you won't. Because let me tell you something. People who are working on themselves, they don't want to be around somebody who don't want to grow. Once you start that process of fixing and changing and putting yourself in a better predicament, environment, you don't want to be around no low vibrational ass people no more. You can't even stomach being around them type of people no more. You don't want to deal with that. You can try, but it's not going to last. You're going to be irritated. You're going to be annoyed. You'll be over it. Because you're in a whole different mental space. You're not there no more, where you just roll around in filth. You're not there no more. So it's not even going to hit the same. And that can come from a week of healing. You will start to feel like that. A couple days of doing the work, you'll start to feel like that. I don't want to be around these type of people no more. And again, even if you try to force yourself to still be around those people, your insides will damn near explode because you're so uncomfortable. You can't hold the same conversations no more. You don't want to talk about that same old shit no more. You don't want to deal with them same old energies no more. You don't want none of that. You're like, ugh. And it could be shit that you used to do all the time. Things you used to talk about all the time. It was a part of your norm. It was a part of your norm. It was a part of your everyday. But once you see the damn light, once you start to really come into yourself and realize that you want to be a better version of you, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, whether you wanted it to be or not. And a lot of people go into healing with the intentions of, I'll still come out of this with the same people I went in with. And that's where you fuck up at. Thank you, my love, for the heart me. That's where you fuck up at. That's where you go wrong. Because you're not. You not. I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry, because it's for your good. Most of the people that you start your journey with, you won't end it with them. First of all, you're not supposed to. And just because you started don't mean everybody else is ready to. And just because you started don't mean that we all going to the same place. So, You get some people who start their journey, they start to realize, okay, me doing this work is distancing me from people that I'm used to being around, the people that I love, the people that I've come to care for. So they'll stop. Or they'll try to drag them people with them. And that don't work. You trying to stop the process only does you a disservice. And you trying to drag them people along with you only does them a disservice. Because you're not ready until you're ready. So how can you force somebody else to be ready just because you are? That's not fair to them. And it's not fair to you. You slowing down so that somebody else can catch up. And the person that you waiting to catch up don't even want to go in the first place. Every season that you elevate, there are people who will not elevate with you. This includes your mama. This includes your daddy. This includes your granny. This includes your best friend. For some of y'all, it includes your kids, your children. If you got older children, sometimes you got to leave them behind too and let them figure it out for themselves. You can't force nobody to do the work. Because doing this work, facing yourself, is a decision that you got to make every day. Every day. There's not a day that goes by on this journey where you are not facing you and coming face to face with you and your problems and your issues and the shit that you need to work on. There's always something that's going to pop up and be like, hey, it's time to deal with me. My name is Trauma 25613. I happened when you was 8. Hey, it's time to deal with me. My name is Trauma 91657. I happened when you was 13. Every single day is gonna be something, and you got to make that decision. Okay, let me go ahead and deal with this. Let me go ahead and push myself to figure this shit the fuck out. Let me force myself to make it to the other side. And it starts with acknowledgement and awareness. I got to acknowledge that there's a problem in the first place. For some of us, our childhood taught us to not even acknowledge that we got issues and problems. Taught me that. The women in my family, shit, you can't tell them nothing about themselves. What? My grandmama to this day, a whole pastor. You can't tell that lady nothing about herself. She'd look at you and be like, girl, I don't want to talk about that. She'd hang up on your ass. I don't know what you talking about. Click. Do, do, do. You be talking with the goddamn dial tone. You and your FBI agent on the phone. She don't want to hear that. And that lady about to be 80 in a little while. She don't give a damn. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't did shit. I'm innocent. So, it passed down to my mama. Growing up in that house, and my mama didn't want to take any accountability for the things that she did. And I was the type of child, I go back and forth with my mama. I didn't care. My brothers, I was the oldest and the only girl. My brothers would be so goddamn mad. Thank you, my love, for the heart me. My brothers would be so mad, be like, girl, just be quiet. Why you want to argue back and forth with mom? You know that's going to turn her up. I'm like, look, she's wrong. Y'all just want to sit here and let her think that she right. I'm not going to fucking do it. You're wrong, mom. That didn't happen the way that you saying it's happening. I didn't do what you said that I did. You're wrong. Whether you admit it today or not, you gonna know from me, that ain't that. I would get in trouble like, I got so much goddamn trouble for my mouth. Lord. You're wrong. Right? Because I was in denial. If she seemed a certain type of way, if she felt it was a certain type of way, then baby, that's what it was. It wasn't no convincing that lady. And I didn't realize that I had picked up on that. Sometimes the very thing that you're running away from, when you look in the mirror, it's right there. And I used to swear up and down, I ain't gonna never be like my mom. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna never be like my mom. I ain't gonna do this, and I'm not gonna do that, and I'm not gonna do my kids like this. I'm not gonna treat these people like this, and blah 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 blah, and woo woo woo. Baby, until one day I caught a glimpse of myself, and I said, hold up. And people have been telling me, Poca, look, you don't never acknowledge when you did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, because I ain't do that shit. I was right. What you mean? I ain't never been wrong. I ain't never been wrong, girl. What did you talk about? Acknowledge my wrong. What wrong? And then I had to sit there one day and be like, damn, I sound like my mama. This is the same shit I used to try to convince my mom, like, girl, you're not seeing it the right way. Or it didn't happen like that. Or the way that you're saying it is incorrect. I didn't understand that shit for a long time. People would say, look, you're saying the right stuff, but you saying it so evil and so mean. You know what I'm saying? You're not saying it with love. I'm like, what the fuck you mean? If I'm telling you the truth is the truth. Don't listen to the messenger, get the message. Because that's all I heard in church. That's what my grandmama would say when she was preaching. Don't listen to the messenger, get the message. And people be like, look, I can't even get the damn message because the messenger is mean and nasty as hell. I didn't understand that for a long time. I didn't get that for a long time. It wasn't clicking for me. And that's because my trauma, the way that I was raised, taught me that the toxic environment that I came from was normal. Thank y'all for the gifts. So I'm thinking, this is normal. They cuss each other out all the time in my family, so if I put a little extra cuss word in the shit, you should be able to read through it. Well, I didn't have a choice to read through it or not when I was growing up. I had to get it. Because if not, then women in my family, they was going to choke you out. I was forced into understanding it through all of the toxicity. I was forced into reading through the lines. So then I started trying to force other people to do the same thing because that's all I knew. Nobody taught me differently. Nobody set me down and said, hey, this is this and this is that. So I didn't get it until one day I got it. And I felt horrible. That accountability hit me like a 16-wheeler straight to the chest. I said, this is how I've been talking to people? This is how I've been treating people? This is the way that I've been coming across? Send me in a spiral. And when those traumas, when you come into that awareness, this is why it's important to be in that space of isolation. And it's also important to make sure that you're giving yourself that love and that unconditional compassion and understanding. Because it's so easy to start to beat yourself up when you do come into awareness. It's so easy to start to judge yourself and criticize yourself based on the things that you may not have known. Based on things that you weren't taught. And now you know what I'm saying? You got this inner battle going on. Where you're starting to wake up, you're starting to become aware, which is the good part, but now you're turning on yourself. And that's when shit becomes toxic. That's when things start to get a little bad. You know what I'm saying? Start beating yourself up for shit that you wasn't taught no different. That don't mean that you don't gotta be accountable, because you gotta be accountable whether you was taught it or not. So all of them people that I cussed out, whether I was trying to give them good advice or not, I gotta be accountable for the way I made them feel. All of those men that I was taking shots at, I mean low blows. Because women in my family, they took low blows towards men. They ain't play with no nigga. I mean, they talk to a nigga like, the fuck, boy? You know what I'm saying? I can only speak for my family. Now, women in your family might be a little different. Mine? Shit. They make a man feel this motherfucking small. And they knew that they can do it. You know what I'm saying? They knew that they could do it. It was a power for them. But when I got older, I realized, oh, well, that's because a lot of y'all were victims. You know what I'm saying? My grandmama didn't know who her daddy was. She was the only one of her her mother's children who didn't know who their daddy was. So she felt a certain type of way. Then she had these men do things to her, talk to her crazy, treat her certain types of ways. Her heart got hardened. But she was raised by a woman who also went through that same thing and taught her that as well. So now we're passing down traumas, and then those traumas meet real life experiences, because what? You attract what you are. So the traumas get passed down, and because it's in your energy, you start to attract people who then make those passed down traumas your reality. Now you're going through the very things that was passed down to you subconsciously. So now your mama's experience becomes your experience. And then your experience becomes your daughter's experience. And then your daughter's experience became my experience. And then we got a what? Generational curse. Because there's no interjection going on. There's nobody nowhere in the bloodline saying, hey, let's stop this, let's fix this, let's sort this out. So this thing is just moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. Without any regulation, without any hesitation, without anybody coming and saying, okay, let's get this under control. You know what I'm saying? No, nobody's putting a stop to it. It's just continuing on over and over and over again. So then we start to meet people who reflect that energy back to us. And based on whatever we feel like we wasn't getting, if that person is bringing the bare minimum of those things into our life, we'll give them all of us. We're exchanging all of us for a little bit, for one quality, for one thing in return. And you wonder why you can't let these people go. You wonder why it's hard to separate yourself from these people. Why you're so tied to them. Why you're so drawn to them. You know what I'm saying? Questions, comments, and concerns. I want to go through some questions. Feel free to ask in the comments. I want to make sure that we are getting through questions before we move on to the next thing. I want to take a pause for that. Let me see. I know people want to get up on the panel where we can hear what they gotta say. Yeah, if anybody wants to come up and ask their questions directly, then feel free to do so. You can send a request. I don't mind that. We can do a panel style. Can you talk about men with mother wounds and how that affects their romantic relationships? So when it comes to the energy of a mother, right, especially when it comes to men, nobody can break a man down like a woman can, especially their mother, right? The mother, number one, holds and creates the energetic foundation of the home, right? This is why, you know what I'm saying, I use this example all the time. When you come home from school and your mama had a bad day, baby, that house feel heavy. That house feel heavy as hell. You don't want to move. You don't want to ask a question. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying, go past her room. You don't want to throw her off. You want to stay far the fuck away from her as much as you possibly can. Because women control the energy of the home. They create the emotional stability and the frequency of the home. So when there is an issue with that, when there's a conflict with that, you are automatically offsetting everything that's in that house, which is going to lead to chaos in whatever way that it happens, right? So for men, the mother is so important because the mother teaches men how to tap into their femininity. We all possess both qualities, right? We all have masculine qualities. We all have feminine qualities. We have masculine energies. We have feminine energies, right? And your mother helps you to cultivate that feminine part of your being, whether you are male or female, right? When you don't have that, you can be emotionally disconnected because nobody taught you how to be connected to your emotions, right? You can use more logic over emotion, which we see a lot of men do. A lot of men are usually more logical, which is not an issue overall, but you do have to know when to put the logic to the side and acknowledge the emotional part of it. That's something that a woman has to teach you, right? That softness, knowing how to deal with not just the opposite sex, but knowing how to deal with people, period. Women represent connection. We represent relationship. We represent emotion, right? So even the way that you connect with people, the way that you operate in the relationships and connection that you have, even if it's your friendships, even if it's your relationships with your family members, right? So having that is very important. But, you know, you have to, it's almost like a hamster wheel type of ideology. Because we have these men who may have had toxic relationships with their mothers, or they just didn't get what they need from their mothers. So then they go out into the world and they're not emotionally available for their partners or for their friendships or for whatever, right? And it's so easy to kind of blame the man and say, you know, this is this, this is that. But you have to go back to that mama. What did that mother go through that caused her to be in a space where she wasn't able to give her children what they needed from that emotional perspective? So this is where I say that whole blame the men, no, blame the women. No, both people. We both got accountability to have on each side because we both play a part in where we are right now, especially in our community as Black people. Both sides play a part. The men play a part, the women play a part. Right? So at some point, we all need to kind of wake up and do that self-evaluation. That's why we all got to deal with self first and figure out, how did we get to this point? What were the things that we didn't have in our lives that led us to be in this type of energy? that led us to act these types of ways. For example, I dealt with this guy who lost his mom. His mom was actually very super amazing, right? She was the type that wrote him little letters and put it in his lunchbox, and, you know, gave him little kisses on the face, and, you know, just a super active, super loving mom. But she passed away in his adulthood. He wasn't a kid. She passed away when he was an adult, right? And because he didn't have that connection with his father, which is now his only parent, he became emotionally detached. So even though his mother had gave him a lot of things that he would later on need, because he was a super affectionate guy, he was a provider type, he was a thoughtful type, he'll do all types of things for you, buy you flowers, take you out to dinners, and take you on trips, and do all these different things, and want to kiss all on you and hold your hand when you walk across the street, and open the car door for you, all of the things. But he wasn't emotionally available. He was closed off emotionally because he lost his mom. And then he didn't have that support from his father, right? So it's not always just the one size fit all type of thing. It doesn't always come from one side of things. You know what I'm saying? This is why two healthy parents are important, because life is one life, right? You never know what's going to happen. And you have to have both sides equally giving you what you need. But they have to be equal within themselves first. They have to be whole within themselves first to then be able to give something to you. I'm not the type that believes everybody has to get married before they have a child. But I am the type that believes that you need to be healing before you have a child. I do believe that wholeheartedly. And if you want to get married first, if you believe in marriage at all, that's your business. Thank you for the gift, my love. But you need to be healing. Because married or not, you're going to be passing down whatever it is that you got to them kids. And marriage doesn't absolve you of your trauma. That's why we have a lot of people who come from two-parent households and they still just as fucked up as the rest of us. Right? Let me go back to, you said something else. A lady on Instagram was saying how men who ask their mom for advice or are too reliant on their mom is a red flag. Asking your mother for advice, why would that be a red flag? Let me say this. Y'all can't listen to every damn body now. This is where discernment comes in. Right? You got to have discernment. And again, doing your own self-work will start to help you intuitively get an idea of what is right. Right? There's an overall truth. And then there's opinions. So the more you work on yourself, you'll start to get more in tune with what that overall truth of things are. There's nothing wrong with a man asking his mother for advice, especially when it comes to relationships, emotions, connections, things like that, because that is a woman's playground. That's where we are the most aligned. The same way if a girl will go to her father when it comes to business, or when it comes to financial things, or when it comes to a house or car management or any of those things, because that's a man's playground. Provide and protect. Not saying that the opposite can't do the opposite, but everybody has their strengths. We as women are stronger when it comes to emotions, connections, relationships. Right? Men are stronger when it comes to providing, protecting, and logic. That's their shit. We all have our strengths. And the key is learning to lean on each other's strengths when we need to, and hearing the other side out when it comes to areas that we may not be as strong in. Right? It's nothing wrong with as a woman, you sitting back a little bit and letting that man lead, if that man has shown that he's capable of doing so. Now that's the key that a lot of men don't get. Now, I'm not following your ass and we going off the damn cliff. That's crazy as hell. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna submit to you and you is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's insane. Who the fuck is doing that? I'm not doing that. Right? Same way a man doesn't mind, a man, keyword, doesn't mind allowing a woman to lead when it comes to certain things. But he not about to do that, and you crazy as hell. And you overly emotional and extra sensitive to every goddamn thing, to the point where you can't make the proper decisions. Right? You got to show yourself worthy of being listened to by the way that you go about your life. What's being reflected based on your lifestyle? Do you have a credible enough life for me to be like, okay, cool, I can trust you. I can sit back and allow you to lead and guide and teach. You know what I'm saying? What are you displaying? What are your actions saying? Based on that. You know what I'm saying? And then it also depends on, you know, the person that they're getting this advice from. If a person is getting advice from a parent who, again, doesn't have a lifestyle that reflects that I should be listening, then that's where the issue comes in. That's when we got a damn problem. You listen to somebody that shouldn't be listened to. You listen to somebody that doesn't have a proof that this works. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go, as a woman, I'm not going to go get my hair done by a hairstylist and I ain't seen her work. As a man, you're not going to go get your hair cut by a barber and you ain't seen his work. What you mean you can cut hair? Especially if they head look crazy. You ever went to a goddamn barber shop and somebody try to cut your hair and they shit fucked up? You're like, hold up, you didn't even get yourself right. Or your hairstylist tells you, oh, I can do your hair, girl. Yeah, I can do it real good. Whatever. And you on their page and they don't got a good hairstyle in sight on themselves. I don't even trust that. Right? So you're going back to lifestyle. Your lifestyle will reflect how trustworthy you are. Should I be listening to you? Should I be taking advice from you? Are you credible? If you are, it will reflect. Everybody will be able to see it. It will be undeniable. Period. So I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody getting advice from other people, because we learn through each other's experiences, right? That's how we accumulate knowledge, is through experience, and that experience is passed down and you know, used for the next generations. So there's nothing wrong with you going back for a man to go to his mother for advice, or for a daughter to go to her father for advice, or for a daughter to go to her mother for advice, or for a son to go to his father for advice. But are those people worthy of giving you advice? Because I remember for myself, you know, at a certain point, I couldn't take advice from my mama no more. Not because I didn't love her, and not because sometimes she didn't say good stuff, but because I had to start looking at her lifestyle. That was one of the reasons I stopped going to church. I can't keep sitting up under these people and they telling me that I gotta live this way and live that way and do this and do that, and then y'all not doing it. That's crazy as hell. You should be the example of the advice that you're giving. Your life should reflect that this shit works. If not, why the hell is you telling me? And if you got some type of advice that's life-changing, why wouldn't you use it for yourself? That doesn't even make sense. If this advice is so good, why are you not doing nothing with it? Right? All of it goes back to childhood. All of it goes back to the work that that person is doing on themselves. If it's not somebody who is actively healing, even for me, for example, when it comes to me taking advice from elders, right? I don't care how old you are. You could be 89. If you are not constantly in a position of growth, I don't want to listen to you. I don't care. I'm not listening to nobody who think that they've arrived. I don't care how old you are, how old you get. I'm not listening to nobody who think that that's it. They've learned all that they can learn. That's all it is. And that's all it's going to be. Oh, no. I'm not listening to that. Because we all got some old-ass people in our families that's just as toxic as the 30-year-olds, the 20-year-olds. I mean, toxic. Still doing wild shit at their old-ass age. Ain't improved yet. Life ain't changed yet. Still crazy as hell. Because it's not about age. It's about the work that you do. It's about continuously showing up and being consistent with the work that you need to do. So if there's an elder that wants to give me some type of advice, I need that elder to not only be living the advice that they're giving me, but continuously open to changing and becoming a better version of themselves. And that's one thing that is misrepresented in our community. Our community, and I can only speak for our community because I'm black, obviously, right? Our community is always taught you listen to the elders. Well, the elder's not always right. They just not. What the hell? I don't make the rules. I didn't make them like that. They not always right, damn it. And if they was right, why they life look like that? Why do they still have that mentality? Why they encouraging certain things? I've seen elders in my family encourage some of the most diabolical behaviors. No correction, no redirection, no education, no wisdom. Just egging shit on, adding fuel to the damn fire. Come on now. Come on now. You can't listen to that shit all the time. You can't listen to that shit all the time. You'll go crazy. And your life will start to reflect that shit. They always say when I was brought up, their parents traumatized them coming up out of slavery. That, and then, two, they lived in a different time. This is why I say we have to be ever evolving. Because the times change, right? Certain things that needed to be done. For example, there's this mini story that is always told, and I love it every time I hear it. Some of y'all may have heard it before, but basically it says, you know, a granddaughter went home for the holidays for Thanksgiving, and her mother was about to prepare the turkey. And before she put the turkey in the oven, she cut off the wings and she cut off the legs of the turkey. And then she put it in the oven. And the granddaughter said, or the daughter to the mother said, why do you always cut off the wings and the legs of the turkey before you put it in the oven? And the mama said, I don't know, my mama always do it. So when her mother arrived, which is the grandmother, she asked her, Grandma, why you always cut off the wings and the legs of the turkey before you put it in the oven? And she said, I don't know, my mama used to always do it. So she got to her great-grandma and said, Great-grandma, why do you always cut off the wings and the legs of the turkey before you put it in the oven? And she said, because The house that we had a very small oven, and it could not fit the whole turkey. And that's what trauma looks like when it's passed down. That's what advice looks like sometimes when it's passed down. We don't even know why we do the things that we do. But the times have changed, and those things no longer have value anymore. We have more resources. We got a bigger oven now. We don't have to cut off the damn legs and the wings no more. They had to do that because they had to do that. That was the only option that they had available to them at that time. We got way more options. We have way more tools. We have way more things that we can use and that we can do to get to a better place and become better versions of ourselves. So sometimes that advice from those elders, they mean well, but it doesn't suffice for the times that we're in. There's a different way to get to the point. There's a better way to make it happen. Just like back in the day, they used to say, oh, you know what I'm saying? You got to force yourself to work out that marriage. You got to force yourself to stay in that relationship. You got to force yourself to do X, Y, and Z. Well, a lot of them had to do it because women couldn't work. They couldn't provide for themselves. They couldn't take care of themselves. They couldn't do certain things. They were limited. So they stayed in them houses with them toxic ass men, and they dealt with the shit that they had to deal with because they felt like that was their only option. We don't live in those times no more. Right? Women were made to feel like they only belonged in the kitchen and at home and doing this and doing that because of the times that they was in. We don't live in those times anymore. And there's nothing wrong with people still wanting a traditional experience, right? To each his own. But it's not mandatory for everybody to live the same type of lifestyle anymore because we have so many different advantages that those people didn't have. At one point, they made you feel like going to therapy and getting help from a psychologist was a bad thing, or it meant that you was crazy or cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It don't mean that no more. It may have meant that back then. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, y'all. That may have been the energy back then. But we don't live in those times anymore. That's not necessary anymore. Right? Definitely confirmation, right? So, you can't always listen to the elders. So when your mama tell you you need to go to school and go to college and get a degree and do this and do that and go to nursing school, like she went to nursing school, and go get that good government job so you can have them good benefits and blah 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 blah. Don't go out there and start that business because that's not for sure money. You go out there and you start that business, that money is not for sure. You know what I'm saying? You might not get what you need. Don't go and take that risk on that business. Don't go out there and do that. Don't move to that other city or that other state. Because based on the times that they was in, it was a certain way that you had to do stuff. My grandparents were are baby boomers. Right? So the way that they go about things is completely different than how I would go about things. Going to college for a boomer was a super accomplishment. And not to say it's not an accomplishment now, but there are so many ways to success now that don't, include going to college and getting a degree. There are millionaires and billionaires who have never stepped foot on a campus ever. And they are beyond successful and beyond intelligent, and they didn't need anybody to get them a piece of paper to say that they was. Right? Now, if you want to go, there's nothing wrong with that. But times have changed where that was kind of a part of the plan. Right? And yeah, the degrees have lost their essence at this point. You can have all the degrees in the book and still end up with a job that don't got nothing to do with what you went to school for, and ain't nobody trying to hire you. That used to be the cheat code. You could put that you got a associate's degree on that damn application, baby. You got you a job, a good job back in the day. You put that shit on there now, they looking at that like a high school diploma. It don't hit the same no more. Right? There's nothing wrong with going to school. There's nothing wrong with being educated. But there's other ways to do so. And because that generation is not aware of those other ways, based on the time that they was in, they don't know how to get around that. For example, my father's mother got early onset dementia, right? And she still remembers the fact that you got to go to school and get you an education. Now, I didn't go to college. I didn't want to. When I graduated, I was like, that's enough with school. That's enough of that. I don't want to go back. I want to go into business, and I want to figure this shit out. And I never went, and I've been a successful business owner for 10 years now. No college degree. Now, that's my path, right? And even to this day, with the success that I have with my businesses and things that I've done, my grandmother would still ask me, what you do for work? You don't want to go and get you a good job? I'm like, Grandma, I got a good job working for myself. What are you talking about? Well, you got to be careful because you don't want to get in trouble. And you might, you can always go back and get you a degree and go to school. You don't want to work at a hospital or nothing? Like, Grandma, no. I don't want to work at a hospital. They hiring down there at the, old people always know where they hiring at. They over there hiring over there at the new hospital that they built. Okay. Thank you for telling me. Because that was the standard when they was growing up. They don't know nothing about going into business for yourself. That wasn't taught. Outside of sharecropping, that wasn't something that they was educated on, not for our people. And if you did have that education in your bloodline, you are lucky to have it. And to have that mentality passed down. You know what I'm saying? But they don't understand that. A lot of them are very afraid. Because of the times that they grew up in. You got to remember, a lot of them grew up during the civil rights movements. A lot of they grew up, sharecroppers on plantations. And here you go with your audacity and your freedom and your ability to do what the hell you want. They can't conceive. It's not clicking in their head that you have the ability to do the things that you have the ability to do. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting it. They don't have the ability at this point with the information that they were grown and brought up on to understand that, to understand that, to see it from your perspective. And no matter how many times I try to say, look, I'm doing really good for myself. I don't need to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I'm good. No, thank you. No matter how many times I say that, it don't matter. She gonna bring it up again. Because that's all she knows. That's all she knows. So, again, our people can mean well, right? They can have the best intentions when it comes to trying to help you, trying to course correct you, right? Trying to give you what they feel like you need to be successful because they love you and they care about you and they want the best for you. But it doesn't mean that what they're giving you is the best for you and that it goes along with the times that we're in. You know what I'm saying? So this is why, again, going back to childhood trauma healing, going back to going over your childhood, this is why those things are important. Because what you start to do is you start to break down, okay, this is what I was taught. Does it still work? Is it still relevant? Is this helping or harming me? That same sweet old lady, my father's mom, she, I was raised in a house with her and her sister, right? My great aunt. They raised me all through elementary school, right? And as sweet as my grandmama is, okay, I mean the sweetest little lady that you gonna ever meet in your life, to the point where if she do say a curse word, it is the best thing since sliced bread, because she is just so sweet. She taught me fear. She taught me fear, and baby, when I tell you, I used to be scared of every damn thing. I was scared of every damn thing. Do you hear me? I was scared to travel. I was scared to go places. I was scared to do certain things. I was scared to, advance in certain areas when it came to careers, when it came to relationships, when it came to this, when it came to that. Because my grandmama grew up in the South. And she grew up afraid. She grew up scared. She grew up hearing stories about living up north and all of this is happening, all of this is happening. And I didn't realize that was a part of my trauma until I got older, and I had to say, where did this fear come from? You know what I'm saying? Because as a child, you are not naturally fearful. If you think about a child, baby, then they are some of the most fearless creatures on this planet. A lot of them are not scared of nothing. They'll pick up a spider, a bug. They'll pick up a squirrel by the tail. They don't give a shit. They'll pick up a frog, and you know what I'm saying? Just things that we as adults have become a little afraid of, or a little icky towards, or just a little hesitant. Them kids will do that shit in a heartbeat. And I'm talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. It starts that early. They are brave. They don't care. They gonna do it. They gonna have fun. They gonna enjoy themselves. They gonna push it to the limit. So you gotta ask yourself, when did I come out of that energy of being a fearless child who was ready to take on the world, to now being in this place where I'm being held captive by my own mentality? I'm being held captive by my own thoughts. Where the hell did this come from? Where did I learn this at? Thank you for the gift, my love. And then I had to go back to childhood. Oh, well, my grandma was scared of every damn thing. Not only is my grandmama scared of everything, my mama is scared of everything. To this day, if I go travel and I tell my mom, hey, Mom, I went parasailing today. I remember I went to Jamaica. This was maybe 2 years ago. No, I'm sorry, Aruba. This was about 2 years ago. My first trip to Aruba. And I went parasailing. I was scared to do it, but I did it anyway, because at that point, I had started my journey. I realized that I was allowing my fear to stop me from experiencing things. So I started to attract fearless people, right? Because that's the beauty about healing. When you start to heal certain things, right, and you start to become consciously aware of those things, and you start to, forcefully put energy into fixing those things, Spirit Source Universe will start to send you people that kind of help push you further, right? That could have already accomplished that thing that you're healing, and help kind of provoke you into becoming better and moving towards being in a better place. So I started to attract more fearless people, more daredevil type people who wasn't afraid of certain stuff like that, right? So me and my travel buddy who I had met maybe a year or two before that, and we done been on some trips together. We go to Aruba for my birthday one year. And she's like, let's go parasailing. And I'm like, girl, para what? Para who? You want me to get up on that thing up there and fly through the sky over water? And I can't swim? Love water though. Absolutely love water. I'm gonna get in that ocean to a certain part. And then I'm not going no further. But I love that water. You know what I'm saying? But a girl can't swim. I said, you want me to do what? With who? I said, I don't know about that. I don't know. She said, all right, will the last day of the trip, we can do it. So you got till then to, figure out if you're going to do it or not. Because I'm going to do it. That was her energy. I'm going to do it. So we'll do it the last day of the trip. You figure that shit out. Thank you, my love, for the beans. I said, okay. So in my head, I'm like, I'm not doing that shit. Because now I'm creating all the things that can go wrong. I could fall out the sky. My life jacket could come off and then I drown. And this happened and that happened. Mine just going to all different types of places and spaces. And baby, that last day came and she went and she paid her money. And I was sitting there like, if I don't do it, will I regret not doing it? If this was my last day here on this earth and I didn't know, would I regret not taking that risk to seeing what this could be? I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And I got up there and I did it, had the time of my life. It was amazing. It was a beautiful experience, beautiful view. If you've never been up in the sky like that, baby, let me tell you something. There's something so peaceful and just serene and just amazing about that whole experience. I'm trying to tell you. So I take the video, because I recorded the video while I was up there, and then the guy on the boat recorded us as well. So I take the video and I put it in the family group chat with my mama in it. And you know what my mama said? Girl, you is dumb. Why would you do that? You just be out there doing anything. Now this could have happened, and that could have happened, and this could have happened, and that could have happened. And I'm like, girl, I'm on the ground now, boo. Ain't no coulda, shoulda, wouldas no more. That don't even exist no more. It happened. I'm done. What the fuck? You just be out there doing anything. So when you grow up in a space where you have people who think like that, you don't realize how limiting it is. You don't realize the energy that it creates and the imprint and the impact that it leaves on you. Thank you for the heart, me. You don't recognize it until you get out of that space and you give yourself permission to just do it. Girl, we probably do got the same mama. My mama crazy as hell, y'all. She a pastor too. She crazy. Thank you, my love. She crazy as hell. She ain't got no good sense. I mean, scary. I mean, scary. And you don't realize that fear doesn't just pick one part of your life to be in. Right? It's not just about going parasailing or doing adventurous things. It's also about taking that leap of faith when it came to my business. It's also about taking that leap of faith when it comes to going out and accomplishing something that I want to accomplish. It's also about moving to that new city or that new state. I told my mom, I said, yeah, Mom, by this time next year, I'm going to be in another state. Because, no, I can't have you that far away from me. Mind you, I live an hour and some change away from her already. No, I don't like that. No, I don't approve. I said, you don't. Girl, I'll be 30 next year. What the hell you mean you don't approve? What, you gonna stop me? I'm grown as hell, past grown. I don't approve. You not moving nowhere. I said, okay, well, if I gotta call you from the plane, the train, or the bus, baby, I'm not gonna be here. And there was a time when my mama would have said, I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm just not gonna do it. She think it's not a good idea. I'm just not gonna do it. She think that this is gonna happen if I go do it, or that's gonna happen I'm just not gonna do it. But I had to go back. This goes back into shadow work, childhood trauma healing, figuring out where these things stem from. I had to go backwards. And when I started healing, I said, hold up. I can't allow my mother's fears to stop me from accomplishing things that I want to accomplish in life. Because when I get on my deathbed and I'm at the end of my life and I'm looking back over everything that I did, I don't want to look back and say I didn't do all of these things because of somebody else. If I didn't do it, I want it to be my fault. I don't want it to be because somebody else told me not to do it, or they suggested it's not a good idea, or they instilled something in me that warped my brain to cause me to not believe in myself and go and take the initiative. I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to lay on my deathbed and have all these, I wish I would have did this, and I wish I would have followed through with that, and I wish I would have gave this a chance, and X, Y. I don't want that. Who wants that? That's not fun. That's not cute. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much. And that's how I make a lot of my decisions. Because I'm still, to this day, unlearning fear that has been passed down in our generations for different reasons. Because of different things. I'm still, to this day, unlearning all of that stuff. And it's a daily effort. That's the thing about this journey. A lot of people think it's a one and done type of thing. Right? I identify what the issue is. I start working on it. I feel good about it. And then I can just continue to move through my life and everything's going to be fine. No, that shit going to come back. It's going to be another situation that you're going to feel fearful and you're going to have to move past it. Excuse me. There's going to be another situation that's going to push you. And you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do. There's going to be an opportunity that may be in a place, a city or a state, and you're going to have to decide, hey, do I stay here in my comfort zone, or do I go and I embrace this opportunity and let it be what it's supposed to be? Right? That's a daily decision that you have to make. There's always something that's going to happen or come to you in life that's going to put you in that driver's seat where you have to make the decision. And sometimes we don't want to make the decision. It's easier to ask our mamas or the people around us, because if it goes wrong, if it don't work, we can just put the blame on them. They gave us some bad advice. Right? It's difficult to make a decision and stand 10 toes in it and then hold yourself accountable if something don't go the way it's supposed to go. To face yourself after that decision has been made. That accountability is not easy, and this is why a lot of people don't heal, because they don't want to be accountable. This is also why you have a lot of people who are religious, because if things don't work out in my life, I could just say God didn't want that for me. I could just blame the devil. Oh, the devil was just mad and caused everything to blow up. That's easy. It's an easy fix. I don't have to take no responsibility. I don't have to be accountable. I don't got to look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I could just say, God didn't want me to have it. The devil was hating, and that's what happened. Instead of saying, I didn't put forth the effort. I didn't try hard enough. I didn't follow through. I didn't make it happen. Because you can't have free will and then blame it on God didn't want that for me. That's crazy. You got free will, meaning you can do whatever it is that you want to damn do, whenever you want to do it. And I think sometimes we forget how free will is. If I wanted to stand up right now and turn around in 7 circles and fall on this ground and roll around, who's going to stop me? If I wanted to go outside of this studio right now and run into traffic and lay in the middle of traffic and make a goddamn snow angel, who is going to stop me? If I wanted to take my car and go down to the goddamn airport right now and buy me a one-way ticket to Japan with no money, no nothing, no plan, who is going to stop me? You can do whatever it is that you want to do. You can make this life look however you want it to look. But you just have to remember that you are in the fucking driver's seat. And you have to be okay with allowing things to happen in a natural flow. It doesn't mean it's going to look exactly the way that you want it to look. And that's another place where we get stumped. I got these plans for myself, and if they're not going according to my plans verbatim, then I'm going to give up. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to, stop putting in the work or the effort. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just charge it to the game. I'm going to just say, fuck it. It's like, no. Maybe there's something better in store for you. Right? The law of assumption. It's one of my favorite laws that I've been using. Because I also learned how to be an overthinker. And that's something that I struggle with daily. And I've been on my journey for 10 years. And I struggle with overthinking daily. I have to remind myself to get out my head daily. But I've been using law of assumption, right? Because we assume things all day, 24/7. We're making assumptions. I'm assuming that I'm going to make it home. I'm assuming that that food that I left in there is still going to be in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming that when I put my key into the door, it's going to open. I'm assuming that package is going to be delivered when it said it was going to be delivered. I'm assuming that when I get in that car, I'm going to be able to drive and make it to my destination. We're assuming 24/7. 365. So, if I'm always assuming, let all of my assumptions be positive. I'm assuming that everything works out for me the way it's supposed to. I'm assuming that I meet my goals and then some. I'm assuming that I find success and then some. I'm assuming that I live out the best reality and then some. I'm assuming that job is going to call me back. And if they don't call me back, I'm assuming that they didn't because there's a better job out there for me. I'm assuming that I'm going to get approved for that apartment or that home. And if I don't, I'm assuming I didn't because there's a better apartment or home out there for me. I'm assuming that this relationship is going to work out. And if it doesn't, I'm assuming that it didn't work out because of the fact that there's something better out there for me. I'm making assumptions 24/7 anyway, so I might as well make it work for me. Makes sense? Alright. Any final questions, comments, or concerns? This will be posted on YouTube. For those who want to watch it back from the beginning, feel free to click the link in my bio and subscribe. It'll be posted tomorrow rising. For those who want to watch it back from the beginning. There also is other lives and lessons that I've done on my YouTube channel for those who want to watch any of the other lessons that I've taught, any of the readings that I've done. Everything is timeless, so whenever you see it, it's for you to see. Feel free to take on any messages that you see or hear, or take notes on any of the live lessons and lectures that I've done. There are a number of live lectures that I've done on a lot of these different concepts, so definitely feel free to look into that. I do also offer one-on-one services for those who want one-on-one assistance, whether that is consultations for advice, whether that is one-on-one readings, whether it is mentorships or counseling sessions. All of that is available on my website, which is also located on the link in my bio. Okay? If everybody is good, then shout out to everybody who liked, who commented, who sent gifts, who shared the live, who added to the energy, who asked questions. It is all very, 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 very appreciated. I'll be back on here tomorrow. I'm thinking we'll close out the week. Well, y'all know Thursdays is the end of the week for me as far as lives go. So I'm thinking we'll close out the week tomorrow with a reading for each zodiac sign. So we'll do that tomorrow. I'll go through all 12 zodiac signs for the month of July, and we'll just kind of see what energies and what messages come out. So we'll do that. I'll probably go live tomorrow around between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, Eastern Standard Time. So check your local time zone to make sure that you're here on time, or just make sure that you follow and the notification will pop up. All right. I also do work for TikTok. I'm here at the studio now as a live recruiter. So if there are any people who are interested in taking live streaming seriously, feel free to inbox me as well, and we can kind of converse and talk that out as well. Okay? So light and love to everybody. Again, I will see you guys tomorrow. This will be posted on YouTube for those who want to watch it from the beginning or for those who missed any of it at all. And we'll do our reading for the 12 zodiacs. All of my socials are on the link in my bio as well. So my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, YouTube, and my website is all listed there. All right? All right, y'all. Light and love. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Be good. Be safe.